Well, in one way they don't surprise me. In another way they do, because after all, he is a public figure and he should know better than to say something as stupid as he did. Having lived in Rostov for 2 years and 4 years in Samara, in Russia, having played 6 seasons in Russia, having a an African or black African wife who stayed there with me. To be honest, we never had one single sort of racial incident or ugly incident. But not wanting to defend them, it's a very big country which has been isolated for a long time, and you are bound to get very ignorant and stupid people who say silly things. And unfortunately, this is one of the instances. Oh, look, I think Rostov, like I said, is quite a diverse town, and it's actually one of the more sought after cities to play in because of that fact. If you go to play in Moscow or St. Petersburg, it's a lot bigger. There are stronger racist elements in those cities. Players ultimately are mercenaries. They realize that conditions will be different as soon as they leave their homeland, wherever you go. There is, unfortunately, just like in the United States, which is supposed to be a civilized country, there are very strong racial elements still in the USA. So likewise in Russia, it's a very big country. You cannot generalize about it. But there are very ignorant people who remain racist, and that's something that players have to take into account when they do go there. Well, I don't think so. Not in Russia. If you have been watching the Champions League recently, Bate Borisov from Belarus, which was an old USSR state which belonged to, which was attached to Russia, had crowd problems. CSKA Moscow, a very big club in Russia, has a very strong right-wing element in their spectators, which hasn't been stamped out yet. And they've got to do something about it. And whether it's banning spectators from attending, I think that's got to be the last resort, or fining the clubs for not educating their fans. Something's got to be done about it. And like I said, with the World Cup coming up, the press and media, like they were leading up to Brazil and like they were leading up to South Africa, they don't show any mercy. They'll find every little thing and focus on it and sort of criticize, So they've got to really stamp it out. It's not, racism doesn't belong in the 21st century anymore, and especially not in such a diverse sport as football. Well, there was one incident, in my 6 years there, where one of our teammates walked off and the field, and we showed, to our team's credit, we showed solidarity and did the same thing and joined him, But that was one incident in 6 seasons, So unfortunately, this kind of thing happens not only in Russia. You find it happening in the Serie A in Italy. And it's something which has really got to be stamped out. And I think football clubs have got to take more of a proactive role in educating their fans. It's done. CSKA themselves, who have a long history of racial abuse, have got star black African players in their team as well. So like Musa Mohammed from Nigeria and Doumbia from Ivory Coast, who are starring for their team. So it confuses me. But ultimately, you're not really dealing with educated people, unfortunately.